Welcome to Herb Corner with Jen and Mary. My name is Mary Bear Shannon, and I am joined by Jennifer Coons. Jennifer and I used to work together at the Haverford Township Free Library. Jennifer is now at the Marple Library. She is the head of circulation there. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. And we used to do this program last summer when we were basically at home and not in our building and not doing in-person programs. And that is still the case, I think, for both of us, no in-person programs. But we really wanted to do this again because we both love gardening and we love herbs and what they can do for us in our lives, whether it's culinary or for wellness. And so we're back again with Herb Corner with Jen and Mary. So Jennifer, welcome. Thank you for being willing to do this again. Just a little bit about our libraries. The Haverford Township Free Library has been open since April. You can walk into our building and browse our books. We do not have a limit on our number of people that are in the library, and we do have computers for use, and we do have some chairs. So if you need a quiet place to study or to read, and yes, the newspapers are out as well, you can come on into the library. We are open our regular hours, except for Sundays. We're not open on Sundays. So come on down. And Jennifer, why don't you tell us a little bit about Marple?
Yes, Marple is open to the public as well. We're really excited to see our community back. And I'm seeing our community for the first time because I started in September during the height of the shutdown. We are open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Fridays, and 9 a.m. through 4 p.m. Saturdays. We're closed on Sundays as of now. And you can come in. There's no limit to how many folks can be in the building. We have seating available. You can browse. You can use our quiet room for studying. You can use computers. So we're happy to see people. We still don't have in-person programming. We have some wonderful virtual programming available. So check out our website, marplelibrary.org, to find out more about that.
Including this program.
Yes.
This as a virtual program. So great. Well, terrific. So why don't we get started? So of course we're at the height of the growing season, and we wanted to talk about some herbs that we have been thinking about just recently. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to share, and I'm going to go here. And I'm going to present. So here we are, Herb Corner with Jen and Mary from both the Haverford Township Free Library and the Marple Library. So Jen, tell me a little bit about what you have been. I'm going to go back here to our slide.
So before I talk about the herbs, the way that Mary and I have done this program in the past is that Mary she primarily focuses on culinary uses for herbs, and I talk about therapeutic uses, traditional medicinal uses for the herbs. Now, these cross over a lot, like herbs that you eat can also be used therapeutically. But I do, because I'm talking about the more therapeutic uses, it's important for you to make this disclaimer, which is that I am not a doctor, I'm a librarian. I have a lot of information and some knowledge based on, because I read across lots of different sources and then kind of come to my own conclusions. I've spoken with professional herbalists. I follow people on social media in this on this topic. So, but please consult with your doctor before using any herbs in a medicinal kind of way, particularly with herbal supplements that you would buy at the store or buy online. Culinary plants, like I said here, most of which have therapeutic value as well, they're less risky. Because a lot of us eat, mint or basil or whatnot. But don't take in large amounts unless you talk to your doctor first, unless your doctor says it's safe to do so.
That's great. Yes. So neither one of us are doctors. Please consult your doctor in terms of usage of all the herbs that we're talking about. Okay.
So the first herb I want to talk about, I just want to give a little background on why I'm growing the thing, why I'm talking about the herbs I'm talking about today, and why I chose to grow them. I occasionally work with an herbalist who I found, who I trust, and she's based in New Jersey. She's also a registered nurse or nurse practitioner. And when the growing season started, I said, hey, you know, I have these pots on my patio. What would you suggest I grow, knowing what you know about me and my health challenges? And so one of the first plants she mentioned was holy basil, which is also known as, oh, I don't know if I can pronounce this. The Latin name is Ocimum tenuiflorum. So ocimum is from the basil family, and then it's also known as tulsi. It's an herb that is used widely in Ayurvedic medicine, so in Indian cultures. It has tremendous religious significance and is often grown in quantities outside of temples and other religious buildings and areas. It's known as an adaptogen, and I think I've talked about this kind of herb before.
What is that? What's an adaptogen? I'm curious.
Yeah, so an adaptogen is the kind of herb that, so many herbs have specific things that they do. And some of them have some specific things, but they're also known as adaptogen. An adaptogen means that it supposedly helps your body and mind manage stress better, and that it works with where you're at instead of like imposing some specific action without context, if that makes sense. This is how I understand the term adaptogen. So taking it, maybe not in large quantities, but you know, small as a tea, maybe over a long period of time, might help your body manage stress better.
And there's no stress going on now or anything.
Not at all. No, we don't. And I have some resources at the end of my slides where you can get really nice holy basil. You can get tea that's already dried and blended with other herbs and stuff. So I think there's a plane going over, and I apologize.
It's okay.
Here, okay. So the other thing I wanted to mention at the outset is that sometimes it's difficult to find a lot of research on herbs because it's not there's no financial motive really. So a lot of research is helped by pharmaceutical companies, which are great for. I mean, oh gosh, we just went through a pandemic. Thank goodness for pharmaceuticals. But research on herbs is not, especially in more Western countries. Other like some, I would say like Asian countries, there's more research going on. It's in African countries also, because it's actually sometimes cheaper to treat certain endemic diseases with herbal preparations rather than pharmaceutical for those countries, for those societies. So this is what the limited evidence that we have so far suggests, that this herb can be helpful for anxiety, depression, and like I said, other chronic conditions, which could mean a host of things, but which goes back to this adaptogen quality that it has. So it's very easy to prepare as tea, and it's not too difficult to find as tea, even in your local health food store. There are tea bags that are made with dried tulsi.
Is that how you would recommend it, is to dry the leaves and then make a tea, or could you do it fresh?
Yeah. So I tried doing it fresh this morning. I put some leaves in a tea that I was making. I cannot. So with some herbs, they have more effects if they're dried. Some have more effects if or they have different effects. So it depends on what your body needs. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And pollinator friendly. Does that mean that it's good for all the other things that you need pollinated in your garden?
Yeah, I don't know which pollinators, but usually when you let your herbs go to flower, they attract different kinds of pollinating insects, or butterflies, or yeah.
And you might get your more tomatoes that way.
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. Should I go into the next slide? Okay. So.
The next group of herbs I want to talk about are herbs that just smell really nice. may not have as much traditional use as like medicine. However, you can think of things that smell nice to you personally, because smell can be subjective, as something that can be therapeutic. So lemon verbena was another herb that was suggested. I don't know if it was suggested that I grow it. I'm not sure. I found this herb through the National Herb Society Philadelphia unit, and it's a group of people who are herb enthusiasts, and they grow their own from seed, and then they have like a sale in April or May. And it's great because in normal times when you can go in person, you can speak to these people and they love talking about their herbs. And so the lemon verbena smells like lemon. There are a number of herbs that have a lemony scent. One of them is lemon balm, which is very therapeutic, is used more therapeutically, and has some research to show that it helps with anxiety and sleep disorders. That has a different kind of lemony scent. It's hard to describe. That one has a more grassy lemony scent. This is more like lemony in my opinion. You can use it, you can dry it and use it in a potpourri. It's very strong. And the leaves keep their scent for a very long time. It can be used as a gentle sedative. Again, I don't know about amounts. If dried, works better than fresh. I would think, from what the people that I've been reading up about herbal preparations, sometimes when you dry an herb, you break the cell walls, so to speak, and so you have more of it that gets into your system. But yeah, so that's a lemon verbena, and I actually love the way the leaves. I just kind of like the way the star shape of the leaves, so it's fun. So I have a bunch of.
It's very pretty. Very pretty. So this might be something if you made a tea right before bed. Might be a good use.
And I threw a couple of leaves in my tea this morning just because I thought it would taste good.
Okay.
Didn't make me fall asleep.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite herbs, and not a lot of people know about pineapple sage. There are many different kinds of salvias, many different kinds of sages. So this one is not typically used for cooking, but you could. So some people, to me, it has a tropical scent that may not necessarily be pineapple-y. And again, smell is very subjective. So I did bring in some to work, and I keep encouraging people to take a leaf off and squish it and smell it. And people seem like they don't want to do that. I don't know if it's they don't want to take their mask. It's just my coworkers. I'm not even asking them. But I always love to see how people react to different herbs that are scented. So I love pineapple sage because I just love the smell. So it's in this, the smell lives in the leaf, and you just crush it up a lot and smell it. It's really good. You could probably also dry it and use it as a potpourri. I think it would probably marry for cooking purposes and beverage making. It might be a fun one to play with cocktails or different kinds of iced tea. You know what I mean? It might be kind of cool that way.
Absolutely.
Flowers attract pollinators, like a lot of sage, if you let it flower. And I have some that I planted in a bed. There are ones on my patio here, but I live in a condominium. I got permission to take there was a little plot of dirt, and I'm growing some pollinator type flowers there and plants.
Is this red flower is the flower?
Yes. Yeah. So first of all, it's a really cool color. It's like this bright scarlet, and apparently it's very attractive to hummingbirds. So, and maybe other pollinators. So I'm keeping in mind personal health and also the health of our environment and other things that are important to our ecosystem for this particular presentation. So
okay.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the flowers. They haven't bloomed yet, but I think they're going to in a week or two.
They're very pretty. Okay.
Scented geranium. These are the coolest plants. So a lot of geraniums that we know, the typical geranium is, there are sort of summer, July flower that we put out on our steps. Oops. And that's okay. The scented geranium family. I didn't put the, I think it's polar. I don't know what the Latin name is. Sorry, I forgot what the Latin name is, but they come in a huge variety of scents. And this is something that you can find through an herb society because they're just all about this. And when I was ordering, I ordered these herbs online, there were just so many scents I couldn't even, I just couldn't make up my mind. So they make tiny little flowers, and the leaves are just really resinous and really full of scent. So you can get citrus. There's a kind of, I think, like your local hardware store might sell the citrus or like citronella for like a mosquito repellent. There's also, I feel like the one that I have is rose scented. Some people think it smells quite like rose. There's also nutmeg, cinnamon, and there's like chocolate. And again, like if you smell it, you're like, this doesn't smell like chocolate, but it smells like something, you know, and it smells kind of good. So I think that's the coolest thing. And all of these plants, and particularly this one, is great if you had a sensory garden, or if you have folks with visual disabilities or other tactile, you know, they learn better or really enjoy tactile. There's some gardens out there. I think there used to be one in the Wynwood area, not far from me, where you go through and you kind of touch the plants and you feel them, and then some of them have aromas that you can enjoy.
And we know aromatherapy is important, and it works.
I mean, I will say it's subjective because there's not a lot of research actually to support that, but doesn't mean that it doesn't help people.
Right.
So, you know,
right. Yeah.
I feel like I have to say that as a librarian. I have to.
No, I agree. I think that scent can be very powerful.
I do too.
Scent can be very powerful. Yeah. Okay.
We can go ahead. So if you want to find out information about your herbs or herbs in general, this is sort of an easy resource that I always like to tell people about. It is a free resource. They do take, as you can see, that you can become a member because they just take donations to continue doing the work that they do. And it's pretty volunteer run by different doctors, journalists, researchers, healthcare practitioners. And it's pretty transparent. Like you can see who is, like, unlike Wikipedia, and I love Wikipedia for a lot of reasons, but the one thing I don't like about it is you never know who the author is of the article or who's contributing. But this, you can like look up the people, and that's helpful. So you just put in, like, you could type in holy basil, for example, and they have something on holy basil. And one of the great things about this is they have a really great way of displaying the research, and they call it the human effect matrix, because a lot of research on different things are based on animal studies, and so this organization only will list the human studies that were done. And they'll tell you, you know, they'll link to the research paper, they'll tell you just different kinds of information in these very neatly arranged columns, and it's easy for the layperson to understand it. So it's a great resource for anything, for even like supplements that you would find in the health food store that you don't know a lot about. You can check out examine.com.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And more informational resources. So lots and lots of wonderful people working with herbs out there. So there are a lot of people that I respect and enjoy reading their work and also following them on social media, listening to them. But I thought you could start with these. So in one of our previous things, Mary, I talked about Stephen Harry Bruner, who's written books on things I enjoy about him is he really has done a lot of collating and assessing of all the research he could find. Like, it's been very exhaustive on herbs. He focuses on herbs that treat viral illnesses and bacterial illnesses, and he's written 2 books on herbal protocols for Lyme disease. Some of which are used, you know, like by MDs who treat Lyme disease, because it's such a tricky thing to treat if you've had it for a while. And so there's a Bruner protocol that's based on a bunch of different herbs. Just as an aside, in one of our things that we did last year, Mary, I talked about how some of those herbs are actually invasive herbs that people try to get rid of, like kudzu and Japanese knotweed. Like they're really noxious weeds, but they actually, some herbalists believe that the herbs that are growing around you, around your immediate region, especially if they're really pervasive and maybe invasive, that there is probably some sort of therapeutic value for you and your community that you don't know. And I think that's kind of an interesting.
Yeah. Because we just see them as pests. We see them as,
And yeah, and if it's there, you get rid of it. I mean, it might be in the root, it might be in the leaf. I mean, don't try this at home, folks, but it'd be interesting to look up the herb and see, or just to identify the plant. That's the other, there are a lot of cool folks on social media and books where they're like about plant identification. So if you don't know what something is in your yard, or you can find out what it is. Rosemary Gladstar she's sort of an icon in the traditional herbal world. And I think she is the original founder of the tea company called Traditional Medicinals, which you might see in some stores. Mm-hmm. She's just one of the foremost herbalists in this country. Seven Song is an herbalist that I follow on social media. He's based in Ithaca, and he does a lot of work with, he does a lot of the clinics for folks who don't have the resources, just free clinics, free herbal treatments. And he's just a really cool, interesting guy. And I follow him on Instagram. He also has a website. Rosalie de la Forêt is also on social media. She has some real interesting, she has a YouTube channel also. And she highlights like an herb a month and talks, she's cool as well. Plant Cunning is the name of a podcast that I listen to. And they interview all kinds of herbalists. They sort of run the gamut. So there are people who are herbalists. There's one woman they interviewed who has a cannabis farm. And it was really interesting learning about that and all that goes into growing this plant and processing it, and why like really good quality is very expensive. What's the other thing? So I guess the point I want to make also is that I don't take one source as necessarily an authority, but I do take into account, their training and what other people in the same profession, their reputation by other folks in the same profession. And I read across different things, listen to a lot of different things, and then kind of think about it on my own. There's a lot I don't know. I have like a lot of information, I feel like, but not a whole lot of knowledge. And so that's where it's really fun to talk to someone who is a trained herbalist, or several people, and then you can get even more information. Rosemary Gladstar has trainings. There are a lot of online trainings now. Seven Song has trainings, workshops, if you ever wanted to learn and sign up. I could talk about this forever, but I'm going to go to the next one. I want Mary to have time.
All right.
There's like one more.
Some more research. Okay.
Just for purchasing herbs.
Right.
I really trust these. I've ordered herbs myself. It's good to order from someone who grows the herbs themselves or has a lot of knowledge or employs herbalists at their facility. Tooth of the Lion is in Orwigsburg, Pennsylvania, and I got to know them from a farm market that they sell their stuff at. Herb Farm, PHARM, you can find that in health food stores. They're a really good company. And I follow them on social media too. Okay, next, I think I have two more.
Okay.
And this might be the last one. Okay, so this is about just what's good for, not to sound all woo-woo, but what's good for the planet is also good for you and me. And thinking about how it's important to have like wild areas and plants that, not just what looks pretty to you, but to think about how you're supporting pollinating insects, which then help pollinate like plants that make food that you want to eat. And an example of issues with that are that the bees are in trouble right now, and that it's could be a real big problem for the food supply for all of us. So these are some great books. They're all available at in the Delaware County Library System. I know the Humane Gardener, we had that at Hackford. Nature's Best Hope and Bringing Nature Home by this author Douglas Taleny are wonderful books. Also, those are available at Marple, and they just give you some background, like things that I never knew about. Possums, for example, are not mean or horrible at all. They're actually pretty good for the environment, and you shouldn't be, driving them out of your garden. And just other things to consider when you're planting and gardening.
Wow. Okay. So, that's great. Well, right. Thank you. So moving on to kind of what I've been thinking about is, my herb garden's looking pretty good. I do have a couple of herbs that are struggling with spider mites. So fortunately, I have a friend across the street who came and diagnosed some of my issues. I thought it was fungus, but she thinks that they are spider mites, and she gave me a remedy of a pyrethrin soap that's you actually dilute, and you basically bathe your herbs once a week for about a month. So I would show you a picture of my mint, but it's one of them that is being invaded by these spider mites. So, but I have been thinking about cooking with mint because I have quite a bit of it, not only on pots on my deck, but also in my yard. And I guess I've been thinking about, it's not one of those things that people traditionally think about, kind of beyond a couple of things like, many of us grew up eating, lamb with mint jelly, which now sounds awful, but that's about all we knew. So I thought I would just kind of delve into what I've been doing with mint and ways to use mint. So just a couple of things about it. It's a perennial. It will come back year after year. It can easily take over your garden. So, be a little careful, although it is great for keeping insects away, like mosquitoes, because of its scent. There are lots of uses, cooking, of course, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but it also can be used for an upset stomach. Many of you have probably purchased peppermint tea, and it's usually something you might do if you have an upset stomach. But it can also be used for headaches, stress relief. There is some research for treating irritable bowel syndrome, which I thought was kind of interesting. And of course, it's also used as a breath freshener. I think I have an interesting statistics about how much of our mint is actually used for mints and gums, and that'll come in a minute. But there are actually over 600 varieties of mint worldwide, which just blew my mind. Some of the ones that are more popular here in the US, and I have to say, I just have regular spearmint in my yard, but I am thinking I would like to try growing some of these in my yard. Pineapple mint, chocolate mint, which I've actually seen and tasted, and it really does taste like chocolate mint. Just regular peppermint, which I think I prefer to spearmint. I'm not as big of a fan of spearmint, but that's what I have. But peppermint is also one of my favorites. And apple mint. So there are all different kinds, and you can, and they will have different uses for your dishes. What I love about the pineapple mint is the leaf. I mean, I think it's really, and I think many people may grow it just because it's ornamental, because it's so pretty. It has the white around the edges. And just some fun facts about mint. Both fresh and dried mint were featured prominently in recipes in Apicius, which is an ancient Roman cookbook. So it's been used in cooking for quite a while. Actually, even farther back, the ancient Egyptian Ebers Papyrus, a medical text that dates from about 1550 BCE, mentions mint several times as a remedy for various ailments, including abdominal troubles. And then here's my statistic. According to the Mint Industry Research Council, 45% of all peppermint and spearmint oil produced in the US are used for flavoring for chewing gum. So we like our minty gum for fresh breath here in the US. And another interesting tidbit is mint was introduced to England by the Romans in the 5th century. So it really has more of its origins in kind of the Mediterranean area. But the English, and then of course, and there's actually mint in North America. It was one of those things that is really, it was not part of the Columbian exchange. There was actually mint in the Western Hemisphere, and there was mint, different types of mint. Of course, now we don't know exactly. I'm sure there is research about what originated where, but there was mint in the Western Hemisphere before Europeans came. But England really didn't know about mint until the Romans came in the 5th century.
Mary, if I just chime in for a minute here, I'm so glad you included history, because just as an aside, or just an addition, this is how, when folks are trying to learn more about medicinal and therapeutic uses for herbs, they look at these ancient, they look at what's been written about it and how it's been used. So a lot of times when we read about an herb, it'll say traditional uses, has been used for, and then all these things, and it comes from these ancient like texts and papyrus scrolls.
Really old.
Yeah.
They knew something. And sometimes we I feel like in some ways we've kind of lost it because we've been so kind of enamored by what can be created in a chemical lab, when in fact a lot of times it may be in our backyard. So I did want to talk a little bit about essential oils, because I am someone who likes some essential oils. And actually, in times when we actually had programs in the library, I used to have somebody come and do programming on essential oils, because there are so many different kinds, and there are so many things that you can use them for. One of my favorites is peppermint oil, and it is something you can ingest. It promotes a healthy respiratory function and clear breathing. Often I will actually just put it in my hands and just kind of put it on my face or put it on my neck. And I feel, especially either in the morning or in the evening, it can be very refreshing, and either start you on your day or help you kind of wind down and breathe better. I'm someone who has lots of allergies, so breathing better is always good. And there is some evidence that it promotes digestive health. We talked about peppermint in terms of a kind of a helping with stomach troubles. And then
Mary, do you mind if
bugs? Say that again.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Just about the stomach trouble thing. There is it's important just to be aware of where you get your essential oil, because some of them should not be taken internally. So you really make sure it's safe. And the peppermint oil for the digestive problems, because I know this from firsthand experience, that's for some people, if they have like reflux, peppermint actually exacerbates it, but they make a special enteric-coated capsule, which enteric-coated means it can go through your stomach without your the acid in your stomach breaking it down. And then it goes all the way down to like your large intestine or whatever, and does its work down there. So yeah, sometimes if you take it in that capsule, it works better for certain kinds of digestive disorders. So just want to get that in.
No, that's really good to know. And I when we have the programs at the library, the people, you have to be careful with oils. I mean, because not all of them are pure, and you have to really be careful about reading the label. And making sure that there's actually one of those little boxes like you would see on regular foods, that's actually going to give you the ingredients. And that's something you need to look for to make sure that your oils are pure, and that they haven't put a bunch of additives. It's really big. And so you have to do your research, and you have to really look at the bottles that you're thinking about purchasing for essential oils. So yeah,
it's natural doesn't mean that it can't hurt you.
Correct. And I'm not supporting one or the other. doTERRA is one of the ones that does have the box on the bottle that shows you all of the ingredients, and it's very upfront. So do your homework. So cooking with mint. It was, again, it was one of those things where I had just a couple of things in my mind that you would use mint for, and Middle Eastern and Greek dishes has been pretty typical in terms of uses for mint. It's the other thing is that it's not normally cooked but used fresh, so it tends to be in kind of summery dishes, or I mean, I think that's maybe why it was used in I think of the Mediterranean. They're very fresh dishes, and it's something that you wouldn't cook. Mint pairs well with summer fruit and produce, and often goes well with meats and grains, and then of course beverages and desserts. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I have actually been cooking just in the last week or so with mint. So of course, this is what we think a lot about is mint in our mojitos, which is a mixed drink. It was actually created, I believe the lore is that it was created in Cuba, and it was one of Hemingway's favorite drinks. It is rum, kind of a white rum with a simple syrup. You kind of crush or muddle the mint leaves in the bottom. You add lime juice and then club soda. It's a very refreshing summery drink. The other one that I had actually never tried, I never made, was a mint julep. Similarly, you muddle mint leaves in the bottom of a glass with some simple syrup, whiskey, and then some club soda to add to it. And that was really refreshing and interesting as well. Kind of a different take with the whiskey. But that's what a lot of people know of is mojitos and mint juleps. Some of the other things I've done is I've made a mint pesto. I actually made it for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine, which is one of our other programs here at the Haverford Township Free Library. And interesting, no cheese in this, but it actually has mint and basil, olive oil, of course, and almonds, a kind of blanched roasted almonds, and just some seasonings, salt and pepper to taste. And this seems to go well on meats, just kind of as something you would drizzle over the top to accompany some meats. And I actually think it might be good on fish too, but I haven't tried that just yet.
I think roasted vegetables actually.
Roasted vegetables would be good too. Absolutely. Have that real summery feel, that really fresh taste. I think that would be really good. And I'll have to try that. I also made this, actually I made for Cookbook Club this month. The Cookbook Club actually met in person at Hilltop Park this month, and we will be meeting all throughout the summer under the pavilion there at Hilltop Park. But I made a Mediterranean watermelon salad. This was great. It had a Persian cucumber, watermelon. It had mint, and then it had a honey lime dressing, and mixed it with mint, and it was so fresh. It really was terrific. The only thing I would say with this is chop it up and serve it, because watermelon is and cucumbers have so much liquid. If it sits, it gets a little watery. So really chop everything up, mix it, and put it on the table. That would be my recommendation for this. But super fresh, super summery, and just another way not to turn on your stove, which is always good. So I just made this for my family this last weekend, pasta with mint and Parmesan, super simple. Just cooked up some rotini pasta. When it was done, I put it in a dish and mixed it up with Parmesan, mint, and salt and pepper, and then just a little bit of the pasta liquid to kind of loosen it up. And it was super fresh. And they said it was the best thing I had on the table. I mean, it was a lovely dinner, but this was their favorite, was this dish, and about as simple as you can get. And again, just adds that freshness to a summer meal. And then lastly, I did make mint chocolate chip ice cream with mint leaves. And I thought I'd show you a couple of pictures of how I did this. This actually almost made me, I was steeping the leaves in the cream for about 45 minutes total. I kind of heated up the cream and put the leaves in, the mint leaves in, then basically covered it for 30 minutes and then turned it on again for another 15 minutes and then let it get it to just steaming, not boiling because it's cream. And then just put the lid back on. This was made with egg yolk, so this was a custard ice cream. And as you see on the right here, this was the final product. This had the mint in it. This had the kind of the custardy cream, and then it went into the ice cream maker. And this was the final product. We had it last night. It was quite good. And I'm actually curious to know, I think I might actually try peppermint extract next time. Spearmint again, I like it, but when it's a little strong, it can be a little overpowering for me. So I think that I might try with the peppermint extract. So just some couple of things that I have been making with mint. I think it's important to kind of think outside of the box with mint. It's not just for your iced tea or your mint julep or your mojito. There's a lot of really interesting things, and it just adds this freshness to summer dishes that just really makes a summer meal. So that's what I've been doing with mint. And I think that is all that I had. Yep, that was done. So Jennifer, was there anything more you wanted to say about herbs and what you've been doing in your garden?
Well, I guess one of the, I just want to follow up with the mint for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that I've learned about herbs is that they have these different constituents or qualities, and they're things like some of them are drying or astringent, some of them are more moistening, some are cooling, some are warming. Like, so ginger is a warming herb, and mint would be a cooling herb, which makes it, which you know is why it's just, you wouldn't want to cook it, you know what I mean? And it's perfect in an ice cream or in a cold drink or in a salad. So what was I gonna? So one of our previous talks, I talked about ginger and turmeric, and I happened to find it at a farm a local farm. It's actually down in town. It's called Two Gander Farm, and I get some produce from them in the summer, and it's awesome. They're a wonderful farm. They were offering ginger plants. So I planted, this is what it looks like. It looks like this tropical thing, and it needs a very long growing season. So I'm not sure if I might just get like a little thing of ginger like this, but so that I'm really excited about that. And
I've never seen a ginger plant.
No, I haven't either, which is why I thought this was really neat. So I have one in here, and I think I have one somewhere. Anyway, we'll see, because I don't get a super lot of sun here, but I just thought it'd be fun to try to grow it. And fresh ginger right out of the ground is really cool, because it's not, since it hasn't been cured, it's not as sharp a flavor. So it's slightly, it's a little bit mellow. I mean, it's still ginger, so it's kind of sharp, but it's really fun to eat it, or to add it to food. You want to like take a bite out of it, because
I love ginger, but it doesn't like me. It gives me heartburn.
Yes, totally. If you have reflux, it can, which is sometimes why, you know, when you say it's interesting, like peppermint and ginger are, when it says it's good for digestive disorders, like if you read that, it's like, well, what does that mean? What kind of digestive disorder, you know? Right. So like peppermint would be good for something maybe that you need cooling, and ginger something that you need warming. And then the way you take it is different, you know, would have an effect whether you're taking it or so.
Well, anyway, that is Herb Corner with Jen and Mary today. I hope you enjoyed the things that we talked about today and our love of herbs and their uses for cooking and for wellness. We hope to do this again this summer, so be on the lookout for another program. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I'm a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. And this is also Jennifer Kuhns, who is the circulation manager at the Marple Library. And we are really thrilled that we've been able to continue this program, and we hope to do this more later this summer. So thanks for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.